Dun, dun, dun. Kentucky news. October 10th, 2013. And more Kentucky history during the police brutality of the LMPD. And there's numerous of them, okay? There's a ton of them. Actually, I'm going to get through the stories and then I'm going to finish up with the abuses of the LMPD. Actually, I came up with some more names. But so far, here's the victims, the list of victims. Michael Von Allman, Zachary Hoagland, Lieutenant Colonel Settle, Desmond Rudolph, Leon Brackens, Michael Newby, Robert Abernathy, Adrian Reynolds, Clifford Lewis, James Taylor. And the slayers or police brutalityers: Charles Wheeler, Chris Horn, Paul Kincaid, Chauncey Carthen, Timothy Barnes, Johann Stimley, Brian Luckett, Michael O'Neill, Chris Horn, and Paul Kincaid, which I already said actually. So Paul Kincaid, Johann Stimley, who is not indicted, Michael O'Neill, Brian Luckett, Timothy Barnes, Chauncey Carthen, Charles Wheeler. Yeah, so that's the list I'm working on right now. Talking about each of these cases, because I think actually each one of these cases has different elements to them, and I think it's important to work out through all of them. Cincinnati has a civilian police review board, but Louisville does not, and that's exactly what we need. If you have citizens actually taking a look at these allegations of police brutality, then their findings are more democratic, more honest, more credible than the internal affairs right now. You know, I went in there and they filled out the paperwork. It didn't seem like they really liked me that much, and I felt uncomfortable there. The secretary was just a mean person. She was just a mean human being. And so I wasn't dissuaded, but I didn't exactly feel welcome there. It wasn't like, oh, you have an issue, let's see what you went through. And then of course they looked at it and they went ahead and found that they didn't do any wrong. So that's wonderful, right? They look at and they said the reason why was because I punched first. They said I admitted to punching, and since I punched, I deserved anything that happened. It didn't matter that they weren't police until they said something about it. An undercover plainclothes car just jumped me out of nowhere. That's ridiculous. So the police merit board, I went there and I told them my story. I even told them about getting molested in jail, which I don't like to talk about. I don't want, this is not my shame, it's their shame. They're the ones that did this. They're the ones that abused, and they're the ones who were molested. That's the jailers at Louisville. So there were Louisville jailers, and the ladies behind the counters were shitty too. So it's just, people just lose their goddamn humanity sometimes. They just put on a uniform, they get in a building, they get a certain mind frame, and the public is just treated as enemies. We're not Nazi police state yet, but it does seem like we're headed in that direction. We were the longest standing occupied tent set up in the country. But they just basically didn't want the bad headlines, and so they didn't want to be all these other cities and get all the bad publicity. So they waited until the thing kind of exhausts itself, and then went late at night, give some homeless guy a bill, right, for the electric that wasn't being paid, and then came in the next day and cleared everybody out. So, okay, so the police brutality has happened. It's happening everywhere. The police aren't all bad. In Danville, Kentucky, there is a police chief. He's an African-American police chief in Danville, Kentucky. He's arrested the pastor, Kenneth Allen Keith, who was charged with murder of the Hockensmiths. Michael and Angela Hockensmith was murdered in Danville, Kentucky, along with Daniel Smith. There's a triple homicide. So this Baptist minister, Kenneth Allen Keith, is a Baptist minister who had Michael and Angela Hockensmith on his, he was in his congregation. They were youth counselors. They were youth ministers. They did things with the Baptist minister. Kenneth Allen Keith also owned the building that the murders took place in. He owned the building, then sold it, and then he was working for Michael Hockensmith. So actually, you know, you had a reversal. Kenneth Allen Keith was the owner, and then all of a sudden he became the employee. So I think greed, I think jealousy, I think the God complex that he had and power was taken away from him. And as soon as power is taken away from, you know, the person he thinks is a sheep, you know, he's beneath him since he believes in hierarchy. And then he comes up and he was jealous. He, you know, heard about this meeting, wanted to get some money, knew the building, probably had a key, got rid of all the videotape evidence. There's a mark on his neck, and some folks speculated that he probably tried to kill himself while he was in jail. So there's a lot of things that sounds like, you know, they got him, that this is, you know, this is the guy who is responsible. Some folks are, though, taking the arrest as the case being settled, and that's not the case either. The case has not been settled until, you know, you're innocent until proven guilty. So Kenneth Allen Keith, everything I've said so far is all speculation. I haven't heard anything that he's testified, nor have I heard the evidence by the police. They just arrested him, you know. He could just be a person of interest, and he came in for questioning. I don't know. Maybe not, but he still has a trial, and that's how the judicial system works. So get him in front of the judge, get him in front of a jury, and if he's guilty, then, you know, give him his just desserts. Give him his punishment, what you think his punishment should be. Now, the factual basis of all this, it's really fascinating because the 9-year-old is a hero in this, you know, in this story, and they leave, Michael and Angela Hawkinsmith leaves 2 children behind. 9-year-old and an 18-month-year-old sister, so a 9-year-old son and you know, a 1.5-year-old sister. So there's 2 children that's left behind in all this, and the grandfather has it now. But so the Lewis said they have joint custody, and he's asking for prayers. Duke Lewis is Michael Hawkinsmith's father, so Duke Lewis is who has joint custody right now of the 2 kids. And he said that they will be there through every step of the legal process. He's going to be there. He says they're asking for prayers, so, you know, more religion, I'm not sure, is the answer to all this. The 9-year-old son of Michael Hawkinsmith, 34, and Angela Hawkinsmith, 38, is hailed as a hero because he protected his 18-month-old sister. Excuse me, he grabbed his little sister up and he carried her into the office and covered her with his body, and he's just a hero. So he picked up the 1.5 years and he takes her into the office and he covered her with his body. He's going to protect his baby sister, which is amazing. And then he's the one that actually calls at 9 a.m. Friday morning, September 20th. Police say the young boy called 911 to report a robbery at his parents' shop on South 4th Street in Danville. When officers arrived, they found Mike, Angela, and a customer, 60-year-old Daniel Smith, shot to death. Yeah, Kenneth Allen Keith also said Daniel Smith donated money to his ministry. So, and I think his wife is Sally or Sarah or Sally or something. So he was talking about how on his Facebook page he talked about how they were such good people, right? So if he's guilty of it, he is a true psycho. He is seriously psychotic. He did this crime and he's pretending like he didn't do anything. So the couple's children were not hurt, but the shooter was gone. He exited through the garage door of the business and went through the alleyway between the dry cleaning and the pawn shop, said Tony Gray, who is the black police chief in Danville. The other business owners showed up to work. Word spread about the horrific crime. 9-year-old pick up the telephone, dial 911, tell a stranger someone shot my mom and dad, said James Gage, who owns a cigar shop across the street. Can't imagine what that child's going through. It's just a senseless act. I don't know why anyone would do something like that. Friends describe a family very involved in the community. Mike was a youth pastor at Mitchellsburg Baptist Church. The family was housing a foreign exchange student. They sounded like stand-up and, you know, impeccable folks. Everyone that knew them just knew they were awesome people. There wasn't anything fancy about them. They just cared. Devine said, he has a message for whoever killed his friends. You're a cowardly son of a bitch. Excuse my language. You're cold-hearted. You ruined a family. You ruined a young man, a beautiful family, and I hope they catch you, and I hope they hang you by your eyeballs. An account has been in burn in hell, he said, and also burn in hell. An account has been set up at PNC Bank called the Michael and Angela Hawkinsmith Memorial Fund to cover funeral expenses and care for the couple's children who are now with their grandparents. Donations can be made at any PNC Bank with a routing number 083000108 and the account number 30138965575. So you don't have to have an account to donate any money into it. Usually banks are good at being able to take people's money. So daycare goes on lockdown after a woman makes threats. This is by John Kaufman, posted October 10th. Today, this morning, it was posted 11 a.m. and then updated 1 p.m. A local daycare went to lockdown Wednesday morning after a woman threatened staff with an ink pen, demanding someone give her a ride. It happened around 8:15 a.m. according to an arrest report at Patch's Playmates on Millers Lane in Valley Station. Emily Muncy, 21 of Louisville, was found down the road from the daycare. She was manifestly under the influence of a controlled substance as a threat to herself and others. Search in her pockets turned up marijuana, cigarette, a syringe, and what police think to be methamphetamine. So she just goes in with an ink pen and she's threatening everybody. You know, I'm gonna kill you with this ink pen. That's what Emily Muncy, 21, a white woman in Louisville. Emily Muncy. So, you know, again, the police were able to subdue her. She's being charged and has to go through the system. I hope she gets the help that she needs. You know, but sometimes the police do the right things and they stop criminals or arrest the criminals who are hurting others, which is the point of law. When somebody is being injured, that's when the law is important. Recently, the government seeks to end claims from 1864 Sand Creek Massacre. So you have a Sand Creek Massacre, which happened November 29th, 1864. Occurred when the United States Army cavalry troops killed and mutilated more than 150 Cheyenne and Arapaho people, mostly the elderly women and children, who had been assured safety under U.S. and white flags at a camp on Sand Creek in southeastern Colorado. So 150 people wiped out. Just because people are these military folks, this militarism, these people get guns and a uniform, they think that they can just kill whoever they want to. And they killed all Cheyenne, Arapaho people in Colorado, 150 of them. We've had similar thing to the Sand Creek Massacre. We've had our own Wounded Knee here in Kentucky. It was called the Massacre, the Great Children Cherokee Massacre of Yahoo Falls. So Yahoo Falls, there was 100 women, children, and elderly people that were just slain. They were moving to go get, you know, some education to learn how to read, and when they was en route at Yahoo Falls, again, these people with guns, these men with guns come in and they think they know what's right, and they say, do as I say or else you die. And actually they just wanted to wipe them out for good, and they did. You know, that was the last big group. Even Princess Cornblossom was a part of that group. Now, I don't know if she just witnessed it or if she, you know, succumbed to death. I think she died. I think she died there. So, mother loses second son to violence. This is posted January 2nd, 2001. This is a continuation, just kind of shows what happens to the families. You know, they get the national attention and they sometimes get the buyout, but what actually happens to the families when they come out? Malcolm X's family is actually a good family to watch out. He was a very high-profile person, and the fact that his granddaughters have lived to an old age, I think, is a testament to something. And you know, hopefully they've been able to make money with the things that he was able to set as a foundation. That being said, there's been some issues. The Malcolm X III, he was killed in Mexico. Malcolm X III, when he was a baby, he set an apartment on fire and he wound up killing Betty Shabazz, which was Malcolm X's wife. So his grandchild actually sets it on fire and kills his wife, you know, the woman who gave him his spiritual guidance and made him feel complete. And like I said, he got murdered in Mexico. So, you know, a lot of times the families of high-profile people, they don't always do well when you think that maybe they should. So there's another son, Sherry Rudolph, 16-year-old Sedrick, was one of two teens found shot to death near downtown Louisville about 10 p.m. on Saturday. So not only did you have Desmond Rudolph who got shot, now you got Sedrick Rudolph. So Sherry Rudolph has lost two sons. Both, let's see, the coroner's office identified the other man as Joseph Epps, 15. There's two victims. Two teens were shot to death. Both youths died of single gunshot wounds. Deputy Coroner Larry Alston said, but he would not say where they've been shot. Both died before they could be taken to the hospital. Sedrick was a younger brother of Desmond Rudolph, who died at age 18 after being shot by 2 Lugo police officers on May 13, 1999, while trying to flee in a stolen Chevrolet Blazer. The shooting occurred in an alley close to where Sedrick's body was found. That's eerie. That's so eerie. Sedrick Rudolph and Desmond Rudolph died in basically the same spot. And within 2 years, a mother lost 2 sons to gun violence. And who knows why he died? Who knows why? Who knows?